Okay, let's unpack this. Today we are undertaking a deep dive into, well, an architectural achievement that is really reshaping how the entire world views ancient history. We're talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum, the GM. And the sources you shared, they describe it not just as a building, but as a new architectural titan, a modern wonder. And that's not an exaggeration.
No, it really isn't. And our mission, I think, for this deep dive is to extract the profound impact that GM is designed to have. This is so much more than just a place to put old things.
Right, a repository.
Exactly. It's meant to be a structure of connection, a huge symbol of national capability, and I think most importantly, this monumental bridge. It's connecting Egypt's incredible past with a very bold future.
And we're going to get into all of that. We're setting the scene, but we're also digging into the specific decisions, technical, cultural, political, that made this happen. We're really going to zero in on what the source material says about why it all matters, why the architecture, the location, the collection, why it's all so significant to Egypt's story.
And the material gives us a great framework for that. 3 pillars, really. First, you have the location. Hyper-strategic, it's in direct dialogue with the pyramids. Second, the design itself. The architecture is just full of symbolic geometry. It's telling its own story.
And the third.
The collection. I mean, the truly unbelievable, unprecedented collection it now holds. We have to talk about unifying all of Tutankhamun's treasures.
Yes, absolutely. And just before we dive in, we have to get our heads around the scale here. This isn't just a new museum. It immediately became the largest archaeological museum on the planet.
Instantly.
We're talking over 500,000 square meters, all dedicated to Egyptian history. That fact alone, it's an announcement to the world. It establishes it as, the new gateway to ancient Egypt.
It really does. It's a statement of intent.
So let's start with the ground it's built on, the location. Because for a project this big, a project that says so much about a country's identity where you build it is never an accident.
No, it's a loaded statement.
And your sources detail this extraordinary fact that the GM stands just 2 kilometers.
There's 2 kilometers.
That's what, 1.25 miles? From the Great Pyramids of Giza, it's right there.
It's practically next door.
Right.
Close enough to be in this constant visual conversation, but it's also designed to have its own modern identity. It's a very careful balance.
And that proximity establishes this powerful, just undeniable connection right from the get-go.
The phrase hyper-strategic is the perfect one for it, because you had this inherent tension, right?
Right.
Why would you put a massive modern building so close to the pyramids? You risk overshadowing them.
You was competing with them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the sources are clear. The location was chosen specifically to, and this is the quote, honor the ancient context.
So not to compete, but to complement.
Precisely. They didn't want to isolate it in some modern part of the city by having it rise up near the, quote, eternal pyramids. The GM is immediately framed as a new titan standing alongside these structures that are, 4,500 years old?
That reframes the whole experience for a visitor, doesn't it? Instead of the pyramids being this separate, dusty historical site you visit, the GE pulls it into a single continuous story.
A unified narrative, yes. History doesn't just stop at the edge of the Giza Plateau. It flows right into this huge state-of-the-art building. It makes the journey seamless.
So what's so fascinating there is how that proximity makes the GM a symbol of continuity.
It has to be. It represents the future of Egypt, but a future that is completely committed to preserving its past. You have these 2 structures, one from the Bronze Age, one from the 21st century, linked by this powerful visible line.
It forces that connection. It doesn't let history become some dusty, detached thing in an archive.
It insists that ancient glory has to inform modern ambition. And there are, of course, huge geopolitical and economic angles to this.
I was going to ask about that.
Well, by putting the world's largest collection of Egyptian artifacts right there, inside of the pyramids, Egypt is repositioning itself. It's creating the definitive, #1 world-class hub for Egyptology.
The one-stop shop.
Exactly. It centralizes tourism, research, preservation, all in one massive, globally competitive complex. It's a huge statement about the future of cultural tourism.
You mentioned that the design doesn't compete with the pyramids, and the sources say that from certain angles, the museum is actually conceptualized as a gate.
A monumental gate, yes, opening toward the pyramids.
So it's not just near them. The building's very shape is engineered to point you, to direct your eyes toward that ancient legacy.
It physically frames them.
It literally does. It makes sure that history is always there, supporting the country's future. It's like a cultural map, guiding you from the modern interpretation back to the original source.
And that guided journey begins the second you walk in the door, with this colossal, unmistakable presence.
The Grand Atrium.
The Grand Atrium. You walk in, and you are met by a 3,200-year-old giant.
The statue of Ramses the Great, standing guard.
Ramses II, arguably the most powerful pharaoh of the New Kingdom. He's the ancient greeter. And that juxtaposition, all this modern light and space, and in the middle of it, a 3,200-year-old monarch. It's the ultimate proofs of their mission.
Blending the eras.
Not just an architectural goal, it's a curatorial one, an experiential one. The scale, the age, it sets the tone for everything you're about to see.
And that statue specifically, it says so much about the scope of this project. I mean, it's one thing to build a big new building. It's something else entirely to move a monument that old and that big.
It weighs 83 tons.
83 tons. It's just monumental.
And this raises that important question, how? How did they manage the logistics of moving an 83-ton, 3,200-year-old statue safely?
It's not just a crane lift.
Oh, not at all. This was an act of incredibly sensitive, globally significant engineering. The sources confirm it took intricate planning, advanced tech. It took days. They needed specialized climate-controlled transport rigs, constant monitoring systems, all to make sure that ancient stone didn't fracture.
And the move itself, I remember, from Ramses Square through Cairo's streets, it was a huge national event.
It was. It became this very visible symbol of a modern nation's ability to protect its past using the most cutting-edge tools available.
It's a fascinating parallel, isn't it?
How so?
The construction of the pyramids was the ancient world's greatest feat of engineering and logistics. And here we are millennia later, and Egypt is demonstrating a similar, technologically advanced mastery of logistics by getting this giant into place. It feels like an unbroken chain of ingenuity.
That's a great way to put it, absolutely. The difficulty, the precision of that move, it's a testament to how important this whole project is. Ramses in the Atrium confirms that the GEM isn't just for the artifacts, it's about the stewardship of the artifact.
Right.
The location gives you the big picture of the macro context with the pyramids. And then Ramses II gives you this personal, tangible connection right inside the front door. It sets the scale of history you're about to walk through. The whole foundation is built on the idea that the past isn't just archived, it's active.
So, having set the stage with the power of its location, let's get into the building itself, the physical form of the GEM. Because this is where the architecture actively starts defining that relationship between old and new.
Right. The design from Hennigan Peng Architects.
And it's instantly recognizable. It's all about this bold, symbolic geometry.
It's not abstract.
No, not at all. This geometry is designed to visually link the new building directly, intentionally, mathematically, to those ancient monuments right down the road. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because architects are storytellers, right? And here, the story is written in geometry. They didn't just nod to the pyramids, they used them as a literal blueprint.
That's the core architectural insight, a direct structural, conceptual connection. And you see it most clearly in the massive triangular facade.
Made of glass and this translucent stone.
Right, and that triangular shape is not arbitrary at all. It's mathematically calculated to be perfectly aligned with the pyramid's axis.
And we need to unpack what that means, because it's more than just looking nice.
It's much more. The alignment is specifically matched to the orientation of the Great Pyramid of Khufu.
The biggest and the oldest.
The biggest, the oldest, the most historically potent of the Giza structures. Khufu's pyramid is often associated with these powerful celestial alignments the ancient Egyptians used.
So by aligning their giant facade with Khufu's axis, they're paying the ultimate architectural compliment.
It's a form of geometric respect. It's saying, our most significant modern cultural achievement must, in a way, kneel to our most significant ancient one.
What does that axis actually signify, though, beyond just a line on a map?
It carries immense historical weight. Aligning with it acknowledges a kind of foundational permanence. It suggests the new building is an extension of the original sort of cosmic plan laid out thousands of years ago. It basically makes the GM a modern successor that shares the same historical DNA.
And the triangular design itself obviously mirrors the pyramids.
It does, but it also reflects something even more fundamental, the shape of the desert itself.
The dunes.
Exactly, so it's this powerful dual metaphor. You have the geometric precision of the pyramid form, which is all about stability and permanence, but it's also rooted in the vast, shifting, triangular shapes of the dunes, the elemental nature of the Egyptian landscape.
So the architecture speaks the language of the ancient stone monuments, but also the natural environment. It feels like it belongs there.
That's the goal. It makes the museum feel native to its place, not just dropped on top of it.
And this blending, this fusion, it extends to the whole feel of the building, fusing ancient symbolism with this really futuristic design.
A merger of modern minimalism and ancient spirit.
And that's a huge visual challenge, right? The ancient world was heavy, solid, monolithic. A modern world is about being sleek, light, transparent. How do you bridge that?
Through material choice and scale. Think about the pyramids, rough limestone, massive blocks of granite, heavy, opaque, built to resist time. The GM, while also massive, uses a grand facade of translucent alabaster.
A material ancient Egyptians knew very well.
Very well. They used it for delicate statues, ritual objects, sarcophagi. But here it's being used on a colossal, modern scale.
And that choice is critical to that dialogue you mentioned.
It is. Alabaster is historically tied to purity, to ritual, to light. And using it here gives the whole building this sense of luminosity.
It glows.
It seems to glow under the desert sun. It embodies the idea of a living connection, not a heavy, dark tomb. It's a fundamental contrast to the ancient structure, but it's also a reference to it.
But the engineering of that must be immense. Using translucent stone for a facade that huge in that climate.
Yeah.
How do you manage the desert heat and the intense sun while also protecting the artifacts inside?
That's the core technical puzzle they had to solve. The alabaster panels are part of a very sophisticated, multi-layered system. It's designed not just to filter the light and let in this soft natural illumination, but also to manage thermal gain. You need incredibly precise cooling and ventilation systems built into the structure to maintain those stable, cool environments you need for preservation.
And the sources say that inside, that same translucent stone is used to light the artifacts themselves.
Yes, in key areas. It allows natural light to filter in and specifically highlight the beauty of the objects. This isn't just ambient lighting.
It's engineered light.
It's conscious light engineering. The natural energy of the sun, which was worshipped in ancient times, is being filtered through modern materials to illuminate these treasures. It elevates the whole experience.
It creates this sense of, I don't know, intimate reverence. The artifacts feel accessible, but they're still protected inside this monumental building.
That interplay between the bold geometric shadows outside and the soft glowing alabaster inside. It creates an atmosphere where the past feels both solid, like a pyramid, and ethereal, like desert light.
And that is the architectural embodiment of the dialogue between past and future.
So if you pull it all together, the Khufu alignment, the desert geometry, the glowing alabaster, the message is unmistakable. The GM is a link between ages, between civilizations.
A living connection.
A living connection between ancient Egypt and modern innovation. It's repeatedly called a monumental bridge that links the ancient and modern worlds.
The message seems to be, we can respect our past while also being confident about our future.
And that continuity doesn't mean stagnation. The GM is a statement of cultural self-possession. And it's written very clearly in stone, light, and geometry.
So now that we've established this incredible framework, the location, the architecture, let's get to the substance. What is this massive, technologically advanced structure actually housing?
The main event.
Beyond the stunning design, the core purpose is to finally tell the complete, cohesive story of Egypt, spanning the timeline from the Pharaonic age all the way through to the Roman period.
It's built to house the most magnificent collection in history.
A comprehensive view of one of the world's most enduring civilizations.
And the curatorial challenge there is just enormous, to span millennia. You're talking early dynastic periods, the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms.
And then the Ptolemaic period and the Romans.
Exactly. That requires a unified, narrative-driven space. The sheer size of the gym was necessary because of that massive narrative scope.
But let's focus on what you called the real magic, the thing that makes this a global historical event. The complete unification of all 5,000 artifacts from the tomb of King Tutankhamun.
All 5,000.
And this changes everything about how we understand him and his legacy.
It absolutely does. Because historically, these treasures were scattered.
Right. Some were in storage, some were being conserved in different labs, and only a fraction, the greatest hits, like the Golden Mask, were ever really on display.
And when you see them piecemeal like that, you lose the context. You lose this sense of the immense wealth, the ritual purpose, the sheer volume of stuff required for a king's journey to the afterlife.
But now, for the first time since their discovery a century ago, you can see the entire 5,000-piece treasure trove together, in sequence. That's unprecedented.
The scale of that achievement cannot be overstated. When we talk about seeing the golden mask, the chariots, the jewelry, the shrines, all of it displayed together, we are restoring the historical integrity of the discovery.
You see it as Howard Carter would have seen it, in a sense.
In a curated modern sense, yes. Seeing all 5,000 pieces in their proper sequence gives you a complete holistic understanding of the burial rituals, the craftsmanship, the wealth of the new kingdom. It turns a display into an uninterrupted story. It restores the tomb's narrative integrity permanently.
And it's also a commitment to preservation on a very long timescale.
A very long one.
The museum isn't just showing off history, it is actively, and this is a quote, protecting it for the next 1,000 years.
And that promise of 1,000 years, that requires absolutely cutting-edge preservation science.
Because you have so many different materials.
Everything. You have massive gold objects and stone, but you also have extremely delicate organic materials. Linen, wood, leather, things that survive for millennia but are incredibly sensitive to environmental change.
And this is where the tech side of the GM really shines.
It is. The museum has these dedicated, state-of-the-art conservation labs built right into the facility. And crucially, the entire building, especially the Tutankhamun galleries, uses advanced environmental controls to maintain hyperstable humidity and temperature.
So the desert climate outside doesn't accelerate the decay of these fragile artifacts inside.
Exactly. It's an ecosystem of preservation. It's not just a big room.
It's a meticulously monitored climate-controlled vault, designed to minimize human impact, light exposure, environmental stress.
And that commitment to technology is the ultimate guarantee of that bridge between centuries idea.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, unifying these 5,000 artifacts under one roof, it really underlines the GM's role as a symbol.
A symbol that unites history, art, technology, and human ingenuity. The security systems alone, you're protecting one of those valuable collections in human history.
The measures must be immense.
Constant monitoring, display cases that regulate their own internal microclimates, physical security that would rival any institution on Earth.
This level of operational sophistication, that's the modern monument to continuity.
It is. It's an assurance that, barring some unimaginable event, King Tut's complete treasures will be there for generations, 1,000 years from now.
A massive, permanent commitment to cultural heritage management.
And this brings us to the final synthesized message. So what does this all mean?
Right. What's the takeaway?
The GEM, through its location, its architecture, and its unified collection, stands as this declarative message, a message written in stone and light. It's a powerful statement that civilizations evolve and adapt, and you show that adaptation by using modern technology to protect ancient history.
It shows continuity doesn't mean standing still. It means growth and stewardship.
Precisely. And it's also intended to showcase Egypt's cultural identity globally. It's a huge message of national pride.
After centuries of artifacts being dispersed or interpreted by others, bringing the greatest collection of its kind together in this specific place, framed by this architecture, it's a powerful assertion of sovereignty.
A definitive assertion of cultural heritage ownership. It says that Egypt is fully capable of honoring, interpreting, and protecting its own history on a scale that surpasses any previous effort anywhere.
The sheer audacity of it, the complexity, the execution. It's a symbol of a modern nation confidently embracing its ancient heritage.
The entire building is a physical, functioning manifestation of their cultural narrative, which is, we are the definitive inheritors and the most capable protectors of this magnificence.
The collection solidifies the symbolic intent of the architecture.
Exactly. The pyramids are the external testament to ancient greatness. The unified Tut collection is the internal, tangible proof of how precious that inheritance is. The whole complex just frames the legacy.
It makes history actively relevant and accessible for the future, and that brings us to the synthesis of this deep dive into the Grand Egyptian Museum. It's undeniably clear this is not just an upgrade from an old museum. It represents a total paradigm shift in cultural preservation. It's setting a new global standard.
It really is.
So to quickly recap its core identity, we explored a building that uses these highly specific symbolic features. It uses the alignment of the Great Pyramid of Khufu as its central axis. It uses traditional materials like alabaster in a futuristic, light-filtering way. And it strategically places itself just 2 kilometers from the pyramids to act as this profound physical and conceptual bridge between ancient legacy and modern innovation.
The location provides the dialogue, the architecture provides the protective framework, and the collection provides the substance and the tangible proof of Egypt's modern capability.
And that substance is just unparalleled. The final crowning achievement is that the museum is now the permanent global guardian of all 5,000 unified King Tut treasures, displayed together for the first time in an environment designed to protect them for the next 1,000 years. That alone cements its status.
GEM represents an immense undertaking, an architectural ambition, cultural preservation, and national identity. It shows the world how modern technology and design can be used not to compete with history, but to frame it, to honor it, and to guarantee its longevity. It's the physical manifestation of a nation's confidence.
Exactly. Our sources describe the GM as this monumental bridge, a massive message of national pride. So, as we close this deep dive, here's a provocative thought for you to consider. The GM connects the axis of the oldest pyramid to the architecture of the future. So think about this. What ancient or historical structures in your own experience, landmarks, monuments, whatever they may be, are currently being used as a foundation to convey a message about the future, and not just the past? What modern monument anywhere in the world is consciously trying to strike a dialogue between centuries in the same deliberate, geometric, and material way the Grand Egyptian Museum has? Think about how architecture can embody a nation's highest hopes, not just its fondest memories. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Grand Egyptian Museum, the world's largest archaeological museum, and truly a monumental testament to human history and ingenuity. Until next time, keep exploring.